Unlimited memory: how to use advanced learning strategies to learn faster, remember more and be more productive. Grandmaster Kevin Horsley. Copyright 2013-2014 by Kevin Horsley. All rights reserved. No part of this book may be reproduced, stored in retrieval systems, or transmitted by any means, electronic, mechanical, photocopying, recorded or otherwise, without written permission from the author. Published by TCK Publishing. www.tckpublishing.com. Dedication: this book is dedicated to Eloise, my extraordinary partner in life and work. I would like to acknowledge the contributions that you made to this book and thank you so much for all your encouragement and support in my life. Table of Contents. Forward. Chapter 1. Introduction. Part 1. Concentrate. Chapter 2. Excuse me. Chapter 3. Never believe a lie. Chapter 4. Be here now. Part 2. Create and connect. Chapter 5. Bring information to life. Chapter 6. Use your car to remember. Chapter 7. Use your body to remember. Chapter 8. Pegging information down. Chapter 9. In the first place. Chapter 10. Linking thoughts. Chapter 11. Remembering names. Chapter 12. Remembering numbers. Chapter 13. Art in memory. Chapter 14. Using the methods. Part 3. Continuous use. Chapter 15. Self-discipline. Chapter 16. Review to renew. Endings are the seeds for beginnings. Bibliography about the author. Memory is a way of holding on to the things you love, the things you are, the things you never want to lose. The Wonder Years. Forward. With this book, Kevin brings to life principles that can change your life forever. I say this with confidence because I have studied and implemented these methods in my own life. There are so many areas in your life and existence that can be transformed by these principles that I am honored to make such a small contribution to this amazing body of work. While studying to be a medical doctor, I didn't know these methods, and in academic performance I was an average medical student. I would spend many an hour battling through random bits of information while struggling to make sense of it. The question is not whether I made it or not, but rather how much more efficient I could have been while working towards my qualification. The first time I encountered Kevin's methods was while training to be a medical specialist. It has completely changed the way I now approach studying and how I now manage information, with a straight-A academic record as added benefit. With this bit of information I sincerely compliment the author of this book. I did not suddenly change into some intelligent being. I decided to transform my perceptions about my memory. With this newfound structure and purpose, I managed to discover a potential within myself that I never thought possible. After realizing the impact of these principles in my academic life, I started applying it to my everyday life. What a journey this has been. The experience has been so much more than just learning to manage information. It ultimately enhanced my self-confidence, and the consequence of this cannot be limited to a specific area of my life. I am privileged to know Kevin personally, and seeing the information written in this book evident in his life has been such a great source of motivation for me. After many years of research, experience, and achievement, Kevin shares life-changing methods with us in an easy-to-understand and practical way. When you decide to utilize these methods and make them your own, you will unleash unlimited potential to not only improve your memory, but your life as well. Dr. Marius A. Welchmode. Chapter 1. Introduction. The great breakthrough in your life comes when you realize that you can learn anything you need to learn to accomplish any goal that you set for yourself. This means there are no limits on what you can be, have, or do. Brian Tracy. What would your life be like if you could learn and remember information easily, quickly, and effectively? Think about it. In this short, easy-to-read book I will provide you with a set of powerful memory-enhancing mindsets and skills, which will allow you to take control of your learning and your life. You will discover many amazing methods, both ancient and new, that have been modeled from the world's best minds in the areas of accelerated learning and memory development. This book will give you information that school forgot to teach you. The approach is all about running your own brain. I believe that this can only be possible with the foundation of memory. Imagine if you were born without a memory. Who would you be? you would be nothing. If you don't have a memory, you don't have anything else. If I ask you, who are you? You would immediately start rearranging memories in your mind to answer that question. Your memory is the glue that binds your life together. Everything you are today is because of your amazing memory. You are a data collecting being, and your memory is where your life is lived. If you didn't have a memory, you wouldn't be able to learn, think, have intelligence, create, or even know how to tie your shoes. You wouldn't be able to build experience in any field because experience is just a collection of memories after all. Only if you can remember information can you live it. Over the years, memory has been given a bad name. It has been associated with rote learning and cramming information into your brain. Educators have said that understanding is the key to learning, but how can you understand something if you can't remember it? We have all had this experience. We recognize and understand information but can't recall it when we need it. For example, how many jokes do you know? You've probably heard thousands, but you can only recall about 4 or 5 right now. There is a big difference between remembering your 4 jokes and recognizing or understanding thousands. Understanding doesn't create use, only when you can instantly recall what you understand, and practice using your remembered understanding, do you achieve mastery. Memory means storing what you have learned, otherwise, why would we bother learning in the first place? Some people say you don't need a good memory in the Google age. Ken Jennings said, when you make a decision, you need facts. If those facts are in your brain, they're at your fingertips. If they're all in Google somewhere, you may not make the right decision on the spur of the moment. Which raises the question, would or have you hired a person for his or her ability to Google information? No, you want people with information and experience at their fingertips. You want confident people, people that are certain about what they know. Not storing information in your mind is expensive and can lead to embarrassment and poor judgment. If you have to continually refer to notes or manuals to do your work, you will waste time and look unprofessional. Would you rather buy a product from someone that forgets your name or from someone that remembers it? Would you allow a doctor to operate on you if she had to continually refer to a manual or an iPad? Definitely not. Memory is the cornerstone of our existence. It determines the quality of our decisions and, therefore, our entire life. Learning and memory are the 2 most magical properties of the human mind. Learning is the ability to acquire new information, and memory holds the new information in place over time. Memory is the foundation to all learning. If memory is not set in place, all you are doing is throwing information into a deep hole never to be used again. The problem is that many people are not recalling what they know, and they are constantly learning and forgetting, and learning and forgetting, and learning and forgetting. When you improve your memory, you improve everything. You can access information more quickly and more easily, creating greater opportunities for connections and associations. The more facts and memories that you have properly stored in your brain, the more potential you have to make unique combinations and connections. An increased memory also enhances basic intelligence because intelligence is based on all of the events, people, and facts that you can recall. The more you remember, the more you can create and do because factual knowledge always precedes skill. Information can only be built onto more information, so the more you know the easier it is to get to know more. Now, with your memory you have 2 choices. The first choice is that your memory cannot be improved, you can do nothing to make any difference to your inborn ability. Many people choose this as their life's choice because through the thousands of hours of schooling, not 1 hour is spent on showing you how your amazing memory can be made better. School never told you anything about your amazing brain. When I was 8 years old, a school psychologist gave me a bit of advice about my brain. He said I may have a form of brain damage, and he wanted to send me to a special class. I was a classic dyslexic, I wasn't born with a good memory, and I couldn't concentrate. Reading and writing were always a challenge for me. Throughout my school career, I learned by having my mother and friends read the syllabus to me. I forced myself to memorize it, and what I didn't get, which was most of it, I just didn't get. I had no future because I just couldn't grasp what was being taught to me. In 12 years of school, I couldn't read a book from cover to cover alone, and in my final year of school, I still couldn't read much better than when I started out in first grade. To cut a long story short, I somehow managed to graduate from high school in 1989. A couple of years later, my life was changed when I was walking through a local bookstore. Up until that point, I had not read a book from cover to cover by myself, but that night I decided to buy 3 books. They were all written by Tony Buzan. The first book was Use Your Head, the second Use Your Memory, and the third the speed reading book. Back then, I honestly thought I would begin with the speed reading book and then read the other 2 quickly. However, it didn't work out that way. I started reading Use Your Memory and discovered that we all have a second choice. This choice is, our memory is just a habit, and habits can be improved with the right kind of training and practice. I discovered that there are basic fundamentals to memory improvement, and that if we apply them consistently, we will get the same results that great memory masters do. If we don't, we won't. I started studying psychology and anything I could get my hands on in the areas of the brain, mind, and memory. I studied hundreds of books and tapes, and I also interviewed people with great memories. Through this long journey, I overcame all of my dyslexic issues and took myself to a point where I was reading and taking in, on average, 4 books a week. I could learn in an hour what took the average person months to master. In 1995, I decided to compete in the World Memory Championships. This is an event that attracts the best memory masters from around the world, and the competition tests every facet of memory. That year I managed to come 5th overall, having won 2nd place in the written word event. This was proof that I had overcome all of my dyslexic challenges. I was also awarded the title International Grand Master of Memory by the Brain Trust, a title which was presented and jointly sanctioned by His Serene Highness Prince Philip of Liechtenstein, on October 26, 1995 at Hanbury Manor in Ware, Hertfordshire, England. Considering my past difficulties and from where I had come, this was a great achievement. From that day on, I knew my life had changed direction, and it would never be the same again. In 1999, I decided to stretch myself and test my abilities even more when I broke the world record that has been called the Everest of memory tests. I memorized the first 10,000 digits of pi. Pi has passed every test of randomness and has no known limit. The first 10,000 digits of pi are divided into 2005-digit blocks. The testers would call out any one of these 5-digit sequences, and I had to reply with the 5-digit numbers on either side of the number chosen. This happened 50 times. The record was for the time taken to complete the test. I broke the previous record by 14 minutes. Why did I do it, you ask? Mainly because people said it was impossible to do, and that's what my life is all about, breaking limitations and showing people what our memories are capable of. Ever since then, I have been training, teaching, and coaching people to remember key information that they need for their lives, and that the joy of learning is available to us all. Many people say I have a photographic memory, but that is not true. I have just discovered many secrets about memory, and I have been able to use and make these methods my own. I don't tell you all this to impress you, but to impress the point that every person has the same potential to master his or her memory. It doesn't matter where you come from, all that matters is where you are going. However, if you keep on doing what you have always done, you are going to get what you have always gotten. You need to do different to get different. Thus, a word of warning, mastering your memory is going to require a different kind of thinking. Don't judge or look for perfection from this book, rather look for value. When you judge information, you stop yourself from learning it. You can judge the methods, you can criticize them, you can try another approach, but I promise you, you will not be able to get the same results as us memory masters without applying these principles. I ask you to read with an open mind. I have no doubt that everything that you will learn in this book works and works amazingly well. The methods that I will share with you are the same methods that memory masters use. This is the strategy. You will see that this book is broken up into 3 sections covering the 4 keys, or CS, to improving your memory. The first section talks about improving your concentration. The second section is about improving your ability to create imagery and connecting concepts together, and the final key is about creating a habit with continuous use. These 4 CS are the solution to any memory problem that you have or will face in the future. Some of the examples that I have used in this book come from personal development and business books, so not only will you learn to improve your memory, but you will also learn some key concepts that you can use for your personal development. I will teach you to transform bland information into something that is real and well organized. This, in turn, means the information has meaning and will then be used instead of being discarded. I am not talking about rote learning, but a way to store information differently with far better results. The goal is to improve learning and understanding. There are many books out there that do a lot of talking before you find any meat. This book is different. I want to get straight to the point and save you a lot of time and energy. It is my goal to show you the wonderful world of memory improvement in a way I wish someone would have taught me. Don't just read this book, play with the concepts and make it part of your thinking and your life. If you are ready, then turn to the first lesson and unleash the power of your memory. Part 1. Concentrate. The best advice I ever came across on the subject of concentration is, wherever you are, be there. Jim Rohn. Chapter 2. Excuse me, you cannot fly with the eagles if you continue to scratch with the turkeys. Zig Ziglar. Before we begin, what excuses are you going to make for not reading this whole book? If you decide to read the whole book, what excuses are you going to make for not using the information that you are going to learn? I know you don't know what you will be learning, but you have those excuses all lined up, don't you? Take time to really think about your excuses and write them down. These are the same excuses that you use every time to stop yourself from learning anything new. You can have success or excuses, but you can't have them both. People that learn quickly only focus on the information and skills that matter. Excuses don't matter, and they are thought viruses. The only things that are keeping you from getting what you want in your life are the excuses you keep telling yourself. Who would you be without your excuses? Think about it. Every excuse you accept makes you weaker. Excuses stop you from concentrating and paying attention. When you excuse yourself from learning something new, you block your focus and your energy. Always remember that where your attention goes, your energy flows. Some of the most common excuses that people use to give away their power are, 1. I am helpless, I'm not smart enough. It's not my nature. I don't have the time to practice the information. Time is always there, you just need to schedule it. I don't have the right genes to have a good memory. How do you really know that? I am getting older, I can't do anything about my memory. You can't teach old dogs new tricks. Then it is a good thing you are not a dog. 2. Someone else is to blame. My parents always said that I was stupid. I need support to develop these skills. It is the book's fault, I need to experience it in a seminar. It is impossible to have a negative emotion without blaming someone or something. Free your mind. You always have 2 choices with your life and experience. You can either learn from it or you can place blame. The choice is always yours. 3. Too much stress. There is just too much to learn. I have to change my thinking. The book requires me to do too much. It will be difficult. We excuse ourselves into living mediocre lives. We explain why we can't do this or that. We excuse ourselves from taking responsibility. Decide now to stop giving away your power to your excuses. Are your excuses true? Are you 100% certain that they are true? Do any of your excuses really enhance and empower your life? You are more than your excuses, aren't you? Drop them now. Richard Bach said, argue for your limitations and, sure enough, they're yours. The only cause for not doing something with the information in this book is you, nobody else but you. You are responsible for your learning. The person that has the most to do with what happens to you is you. If you believe your limits, your life will be very limited. Improving your memory and concentration is not only about what you need to do more of, it is also about what you need to do less of. It is amazing how quickly you can learn a new skill when you decide to let go of your excuses, judgments, and complaints. If you consistently change your approach and increase your desire to learn this information, you will master it. Take action now. 1. If you continue to hold on to your excuses, what would your life be like 5 years from now? 2. Who would you be without your excuses? Enter all learning with this new mindset. 3. Remember, they are just excuses. It is not the truth. Change them now. 4. What is more important to you, excusing yourself from experiencing your potential or being the best that you can be? 5. Why is it important for you to learn to empower your memory? Think about it and write down as many reasons as you can to create a big why. As Darren Hardy says, we need why power, not willpower. Chapter 3. Never believe a lie. The mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envision the fact that you can do something, you can do it, as long as you believe 100%. Arnold Schwarzenegger. There was once a fish that lived in a pond. One day, he met another fish that used to live in the sea. The pond fish asked, "What is the sea?" And the sea fish said, "It is a vast amount of water that is a million times bigger than your pond." The pond fish never talked to the sea fish again because he thought the sea fish was a liar. What can we learn from this? Your beliefs of what your concentration and memory can do may be your own limited version of the truth. Many people never get a taste of their true potential because they have decided to entertain only a limited view of what they can do. What if your negative beliefs about your concentration, your memory, and your potential were not true at all? Who would you be without these beliefs? Richard Bandler said, "Beliefs aren't about truth. Beliefs are about believing. They are guides for our behavior. We always defend what we believe. If you believe you have a bad memory, you will always act and think in accordance with that belief. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. If you want to improve your memory and concentration, you need to create a belief system that supports them. Imagine there is an Earth 1 and an Earth 2. The planets are the same in every way, but they are in different dimensions. On Earth 1 lives Mr. A and on Earth 2 lives Mr. B. They look the same, they speak the same way, they live in the same environment, they have the same education, and they even have the same brain and nervous system. Everything is the same. There is only one thing that separates them. Mr. A believes that he has a terrible memory. He always tells people, "My attention is all over the place, it is like a kangaroo hopping around my mind. I'm always forgetting things. I'm terrible with names. My memory is getting worse every day. My memory is full. My memory is like a sieve. I'm stupid." Your brain will fill up, so don't learn too much. He hates learning. He is not interested in remembering because he thinks he will forget. Mr. B believes he has a wonderful memory, in fact, an exceptional memory. He always says, "I choose to focus my attention, it is like a laser beam." Memory improvement is important. Look how much I remember, I have quadrillions of memories stored in my mind. My memory is getting better and better every day. I'm interested in remembering names. I'm brilliant. My memory has the ability to store and recall mountains of information. It is the only container with this characteristic. The more I put into it, the more it will hold. He loves learning. He wants to remember and train his mind. Now, who do you think will have the better memory? Of course, Mr. B. The only difference between Mr. A and Mr. B is their beliefs. Whose beliefs do you think are right? The answer is that they are both right. It is only our thinking that makes things right or wrong. Mr. A and Mr. B both have beliefs, and they both have experiences or thoughts to back it up. The only difference is that Mr. A's focus is negative and disempowering. He sets himself up to fail. Mr. B's focus is positive and empowering. He sets himself up for success. Both Mr. A and Mr. B choose their own beliefs. It isn't an outside influence that determines their outcome. We all have the freedom to choose what we focus on, and in the end, it will determine the beliefs we carry around with us. A belief is a sense of being certain, and what you believe, you become. Negative beliefs and thoughts place a block on your concentration and memory. Unless you decide to take responsibility and change the thoughts that you are constantly feeding yourself, you will not be able to break through your negative conditioning. Every single thought we have is creative. It has the power to build and the power to destroy. Most people don't realize that when they use doubtful phrases, they are setting standards for themselves. These standards become expectations, and in the end will become self-fulfilling prophecies. Here is an example of what happens with a negative belief frame. Your mind will loop and prevent you from learning anything new. Your beliefs either move you or stop you. In brief, every thought and every word works for you or against you, and every thought that you confirm to be true multiplies and becomes a belief. When you change a belief, you change a mental construction and, therefore, your life. In other words, we believe what we have been taught to believe, and we don't question beliefs because we don't want to question the source. Begin to ask yourself, who will I be doubting by changing my beliefs about my mind, concentration, and memory, and why do I think this is true? People tend to think that their beliefs are absolutely true, but these beliefs are only true for them. Just because you can't do something well doesn't mean it is impossible. Identify your self-limiting beliefs and then ask, what if they were not true at all? And remember, the limits in your belief system will always stop you from seeing any alternatives that should be obvious. If you choose to change your beliefs, here is how you can do it. First, 80% of changing anything is about why you want to change, and only 20% is about how you do it. Take responsibility. It is as simple as having a reason and making a decision that you want to change your beliefs. Second, question the belief. There are some things that you previously believed with all your heart, but now you don't believe them. Why? Because you questioned them. If, long ago, some teacher told you that you have a memory like a sieve, it doesn't mean you have to make the teacher's words true or a reality. You were younger then, had less experience, and did not have the ability to question authority. Now with age comes the advantage that you can question his or her judgment of your younger self. Ask yourself questions like, how much is this belief going to cost me if I hold on to it? Do I have to hold on to it? Is it true? Can I be 100% certain that it is the truth? Third, create a new belief and think of experiences, research, and thoughts to confirm it. When you change your beliefs, you allow yourself to experience more of your potential and create new possibilities. Fourth, use the new belief often and make it part of your identity. Your beliefs are only the stories that you have accepted to be true about yourself. Just decide to change the stories. Spencer Lord said, beliefs are not tattoos, they are just like clothes, you can put them on and take them off at will. Thus, here are 5 core beliefs that you can put on right now. 1. I was born with exceptional concentration and memory. You are already all you need to be. Maxwell Maltz said, do not tolerate for a minute the idea that you are prohibited from any achievement by the absence of inborn talent or ability. This is a lie of the grandest order, an excuse of the saddest kind. You don't need anything more. You don't need a special talent or pill to have brilliant concentration or a great memory. All you need is a willingness to learn, a method, and self-discipline. 2. Memory improvement is important. Successful people believe that what they do is important and worth doing. With this belief, people move from interest into commitment. Consider living without your memory for 1 week. You wouldn't be capable of doing anything. Everything you do, say, and understand is due to memory. It is your most important mental function, and if you improve it, you will improve your life. 3. I have incredible abilities. My memory is unlimited. Think about how much data you already have stored in your memory: numbers, stories, jokes, experiences, words, names, and places. Think about what an incredible memory you need just to have a conversation. You have to listen, create meaning from what you have just heard, and then search your memory for a response. Not even all the computers in existence connected to each other can perform such a feat. You will see your incredible ability once you have learned the memory methods. For there is no failure, only feedback. Catch your memory doing things right. One of the best ways to strengthen this belief is to ask yourself, how does my memory serve me? How did it serve me today? Generally, people only focus on where their memory went wrong, therefore, making it weaker. Focus on your strengths and change your approach when the feedback or result is not what you want. 5. I don't know it all. Thinking you know everything there is to know about something is really not a useful place to be, because it prevents you from learning anything new. Listen and become interested in other points of view and embrace change as well as new things. Allow information to come to you. Open all channels to receive information. Decide now that you will only feed your mind with good. Adopt and try on as many empowering beliefs as you can. Use them and watch your life take on a new direction. Take action now. 1. Identify your self-limiting beliefs. 2. Question these beliefs and ask yourself, is it I can't improve my concentration and memory, or is it I won't make the time to improve my concentration and memory? 3. What else do you believe about your mind and your potential? 4. Memorize this quote by Jim Rohn: if you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree. Chapter 4. Be here now. Concentrate all your thoughts on the task at hand. The sun's rays do not burn until brought to a focus. Alexander Graham Bell. We are all gifted with the power to think about our thinking. You can focus your thinking to improve any area of your life. You are in control of what you chose to attend. You can continue to allow your attention to be pulled by your environment, or you can decide now to direct it. Many people believe super concentration is a magical state with which only a lucky few are born. For instance, do you agree with this statement: big muscular biceps are something you are born with? No, of course not, because we all know it takes many hours of training in a gym. Yet, people look at attention as something you have or don't have. Concentration, like anything in life, takes practice. Concentration is made up of many small choices consistently practiced. Everyday brain research is telling us that the brain is consistently changing when we learn something new. The people that limit their attention are still using the your brain can't change model. We know that concentration can and should be improved. You have everything in you now to take control of your bouncing monkey mind and to take your power back. Here is the average person's daily attention training. They wake up in the morning, not peacefully, usually to some loud song or blaring alarm clock. They check their mobile phone for any messages, just to see if anyone missed them. Then they jump out of bed into the shower, and there they think about 110 things that they need to worry about or need to do. Unfortunately, they haven't allowed themselves enough time to get ready and can only manage a small unhealthy breakfast and fill up with coffee. They get in their car, put the radio on, make phone calls, or even try to text messages in the traffic. They get all angry, and they get all worked up about the traffic. The traffic is there and won't change, yet, they think it should change. In fact, we worry and focus our attention on a million things which can all wait for the appropriate time, but we allow our attention to be pulled in different directions. Imagine your attention was an Olympic athlete. Would your athlete be able to be competitive? The reason our attention and focus isn't that great is because we haven't trained it. We keep on switching through the channels of our minds and never stop long enough on one specific channel. We pay attention half-heartedly on almost everything we do these days. We live in an activity illusion and think that busyness is equal to good business. Busyness is sometimes just procrastination in disguise. Busyness may make you feel good and make you think you are more productive, but when we look back at the end of the day we realize we haven't done anything worthwhile. We are training our minds to have continuous partial attention, and our attention is being fragmented. Training your concentration isn't that hard. You just have to learn to become more peaceful and find the moment. You have to learn to be here now. When you are at work, be at work. When you are at home, be at home. Learn to be silent. Let your quiet mind listen and absorb, said Pythagoras. We fill our minds up with all kinds of conflict, and this takes us away from the moment. Have you ever had a fight with someone at home, then you get to work, and the whole day you can't concentrate? Conflict pulls your mind in many directions. When you fill your mind with conflict, your mind will be all over the place. Conflict is the opposite of concentration. When you are peaceful, you enjoy the moment and your mind becomes like a laser beam. Peace and concentration are the same thing. There are 4 areas that you need to focus on to eliminate conflict and create more peace in your mind. 1. Take control of your inner voice. Do you have a little voice that talks to you in your head? If you are not sure, you are probably asking yourself, do I have a little voice or don't I? We all have a little voice, and it has a huge influence on our concentration and our lives. You are constantly talking to yourself, but the only problem is that you catch yourself doing things wrong. Start to catch yourself doing more things right. How or where did you concentrate well today? In what area of your life do you need to stop beating yourself up? Your inner voice has the ability to offer instructions, so instruct yourself well. It is the center of your focus of control that helps you explain and make sense of your world. Don't agree with the wrong voices. All self-hatred and conflict is just a thought or a little voice, so change the thought. It is not set in stone. Remember, if you give yourself bad commands, then bad things will happen. 2. Stop multitasking. We destroy our concentration by multitasking the moment and our peace away. Multitasking is a myth. If you watch a lioness hunting in the wild, she will focus on one wildebeest. She never focuses on 2, because she knows the odds of missing both are stacked against her. She is single-minded and does everything in her power to achieve her goal. In the circus, when they train lions, they put a chair in front of their face to control their behavior. This confuses the lion and divides their attention. Now they have 4 chair legs to focus on, and they go into a type of trance. We humans are the same. Our brain can really only focus on one thing at a time. It is impossible to focus on 2 things at the same time. When you are multitasking, you are actually switching between tasks, you are always semi-attending, and it is not very effective. We cannot do more than one thing well at a time. It has become one of the most damaging myths out there. We are training our brains to have an attention deficit. A lot of people simply cannot focus for an extended period of time anymore. I have heard that the average person looks at their mobile phone about 50 times a day. We are reading emails, the news, Facebook, and Twitter, etc., during what should be family and relationship time. People these days even drive while talking on a phone. Driving with a mobile phone makes you hit the brakes 0.5 seconds slower. If you are traveling at 112 km per hour, in 0.5 seconds you travel 15.5 meters, a lot can happen over that distance. If you are distracted in your car, you have a 9 times higher chance of having an accident. When your phone rings, you don't have to pick it up, that's why voicemail was invented. Neuroscience consultant Marilee Springer says, multitasking is known to slow people down by 50% and add 50% more mistakes. Multitasking is like putting your brain on drugs. There is a whole body of research that shows that multitasking is less productive, makes you less creative, and contributes to you making bad decisions. We are also not allowing ourselves to sit and enjoy the moment anymore. Blaise Pascal said, all man's miseries derive from not being able to sit quietly in a room alone. We get in the car, and we have to put the radio on. When we arrive home we have to put the TV on. When we watch TV, we flip through the channels. We even lack enough attention to watch the commercials. We are constantly filling our minds with conflict. Most people allow their attention to be pulled in different directions, very few people direct their attention. A lack of attention direction is the real disorder. Stop overwhelming yourself by continually changing the channels of your mind. Sharpen up your intellect by returning to the habit of doing one thing at a time. Rediscover the value of consecutive tasking, instead of settling for the quality dilution associated with simultaneous tasking. Exceptional work is always associated with periods of deep concentration. Nothing excellent ever comes from a scattered effort. When you are all there, your brain power and resources will be all there, too. 3. Know what you want. When people approach information, they never really know what they want out of it. They don't direct their minds. Learn to engage and be present with information by creating a strong pick in your mind. Purpose. Have a clear purpose because clarity dissolves resistance. Always remember why you are reading or learning the information. Keep your purpose at the forefront of your mind. If you don't know what you want, how are you going to know when you get it? Learning with a purpose increases your attention, comprehension, retention, and organizes your thoughts. The more specific the purpose, the more information you will get. A vague purpose would be, I want to learn more about memory from this book. A specific purpose would be, I want to learn at least 6 key strategies that will enable me to improve my memory. Focus on getting information that you can use, and then put it into practice. As David Allen said, if you're not sure why you're doing something, you can never do enough of it. Interest. Your level of interest sets the direction of your attention and, therefore, your level of focus. If you are not interested, remembering what you read will be almost impossible. Whatever is highest on your interest list is where your mind is alert, disciplined, and focused. Whatever is lower on your interest list is where you hesitate and procrastinate. You can remember mountains of information when you are interested in the subject. It almost feels automatic and your concentration is at a peak. Your deficits of attention are mostly interest deficits. Your mind never wanders away, it only moves towards more interesting things. We all know that interest improves concentration, but how do we get interested in the boring information? The first step is to find your interests and then to find links or connections between your interests and the new information that you are learning. For example, I'm interested in training and sharing knowledge with other people. When I read anything, I'm always searching for new information relating to my interest. When I read or listen through my interest filter, I am focused and I can concentrate. I always ask myself questions like, how does this connect to training? How is it going to improve my life? If I read or remember this, is it going to give me something that not many people know? Is it going to help me in the future? How does this material help me achieve my goals? In other words, all boring information can be made more interesting with the right mindset. Gilbert Chesterton said, there are no uninteresting things, only uninterested people. So get interested. Curiosity. Questions are the answer to improving curiosity. Before you start reading or learning, ask yourself motivational questions. Most people ask questions that don't move them to take action. They look at the book and say things like, why do I have to read this book? This is too much to read. This looks really boring. If you ask questions like that, how much energy are you going to have to learn? You want to ask energy-enhancing questions that get you engaged in the information. Ask yourself, how is this relevant and applicable to my life right now? How will this information help me achieve my goals? How can I apply this information to improve my work? How will this help me? How will this information make me more significant? Get curious about your mind and how it works. Tony Robbins says, if you want to cure boredom, be curious. If you're curious, nothing is a chore, it's automatic, you want to study. Cultivate curiosity, and life becomes an unending study of joy. 4. Eliminate worry. Imagine one day you woke up and you didn't have to worry. What would you feel like? You would be peaceful, there would be no thoughts moving through your mind. No thoughts sending stress emotions through your system. Imagine waking up and you didn't have to run or control other people's behaviors or control the government with your thinking. Imagine you didn't have to believe the latest fear rumor. Byron Katie says, I could only find 3 kinds of business in the world: mine, yours, and God's. Whose business are you in? You become more relaxed when you decide to take up residence in your own mind and your own business. Life is easy when you simplify and make peace with your train of thought. When you believe your bad thinking, you suffer. How many people, events, and things did you try to control with your mind today? Stay in your own mind and enjoy the laser-like energy of having a clear mind. You don't worry because you care, you worry because that is what you have learned to do. Worry is a very creative mental process. The questions you ask in your mind create your worries. If you ask what-if questions, you set your mind up to worry. If you consistently ask, what if I lose my job? What if I crash my car? What if criminals attack me? All these what-if phrases create movies in your mind that constantly loop different scenarios, which creates a state of worry. Rather, say to yourself, what would I do if I lost my job? What would I do if I crashed my car? These movies that are created by these questions don't loop you into worry. They give you action steps that direct your mind. Create a procedure for different scenarios and make peace with your thinking. Learn to practice peace, because if you have no attention, you have no retention. Most people swing from one emotional extreme to the other. Concentration is about learning how to stay centered. When you concentrate your power, you can achieve anything. Imagine your mind was a torch. Most people allow their torch to jump and shine all over the place. You want your torch to stand still and shine brightly. Nothing outside of you is going to fix your concentration, it is an inside job. You need to make a decision today: do you want to improve your concentration or don't you? It is always up to you. Therefore, eliminate your excuses, clean up your beliefs, and be here now. Part 2. Create and connect. When you train your creativity, you automatically train your memory. When you train your memory, you automatically train your creative thinking skills. Tony Buzan, Chapter 5. Bring information to life. Your mind is the greatest home entertainment center ever created. Mark Victor Hansen. Many people dream of having a photographic memory. They define it as the ability to take a quick mental picture of information, without effort, and then describe it in detail from memory. In this case, your mind would be like a camera taking photos of anything you need to know. Unfortunately, all perfect memory takes some conscious effort, and photographic memory is a myth. Memory is a creative process and not a photographic process. Many people who are thought to have a photographic memory are just using all the methods that you will learn in this book on some or other level. If you take these methods into your life, you will be tapping into your natural memory power too. Perfect memory is a skill and not some special gift. Have you ever had this experience? You are in an exam, and you know exactly what page the information is on, but you don't know what is on the page. Or, you are reading something and you get to the bottom of the page and you think to yourself, what have I just read? The reason this happens is because you never brought the information to life. Think about it: what happens when you read a novel or a story? You make a kind of movie in your mind, don't you? You can remember all the names of the characters, places, and events because you can see it, and you are creating pictures all the time while reading. You are using your imagination and your natural creative ability. However, when people start to learn textbook material, they try to make a mental photograph or recording of the page but leave their creative abilities out of the learning process. People that learn quickly or have a so-called photographic memory apply their creativity to everything they learn. They may have either learned how to do this in the past, or they have been using the principles naturally and unconsciously. Most people try to remember information with their sense of sound. They repeat the information over and over again, hoping it will somehow stick. Sound is very limited because it doesn't attach easily to other memories. A sound is also always sequential, if you want to remember something with sound, you have to start at the beginning and work your way through the information. However, when you see information as an image in your mind, you can jump in and out of the information, and therefore improve your understanding too. Any book that you really enjoy normally activates your imagination and brings the information to life. You naturally get engaged in the book and you battle to put it down because you don't want to turn the movie off. Your mind is like an internal movie screen on which you can ask it to produce information. This is how we think and learn effectively. Your brain creates miracles every day by converting lifeless information into pictures and ideas. When you become aware of this, every word becomes a picture drawn with letters because words are only symbols of three-dimensional images. Arthur Gordon said, "Isn't it amazing how we take them for granted? Those little black marks on paper. 26 different shapes known as letters, arranged in endless combinations, known as words, lifeless, until someone's eye falls on them." If your brain was unable to make images out of symbols, all learning and reading would be worthless and incredibly boring. Your brain likes pictures and we are really good at remembering them. As neuroscientist John Medina says, hear a piece of information and 3 days later you'll remember 10% of it. Add a picture and you'll remember 65%. Some people say, "I can't make pictures in my mind." We all make pictures in our mind. If you were unable to create or remember visual images, you would be severely handicapped. Learn to use your imagination. It is a learned skill and not a natural talent. Reading and understanding is also a creative imagination process. It is a power that can be compared to magic. We succeed in this area when we produce images in our mind. When we don't, we feel confused or ignorant. If I try to explain to you how a car engine works but you don't know what an engine looks like, or if I didn't have one for you to look at or a drawing to represent it, it would be really difficult to understand. The more we turn information into images or mind movies, the more we will remember and comprehend. We can learn to make all our learning more creative and memorable if we use our unlimited imagination. You can learn to enhance your memory imagination system by making your mind movies exciting and sticky. The way to do this is with the C principle. The C principle: use your senses. There are only 5 ways to get anything into your brain, and that is through sight, sound, smell, touch, and taste. When you utilize your senses, you experience more of life and you remember more. Our senses help us mentally recreate our world. If you train your senses, you will be using more of your brain, and if you learn to engage as many of your senses as you can, then you will automatically improve your memory. Think of a horse, see it in your mind, touch it, smell it, hear it, and even taste it. You didn't see the letters H.O.R.S.E in your mind, you saw a multisensory picture of what the word represents. Your senses make mind movies real and memorable. Use them. E. Exaggeration. What is easier to remember, a strawberry that is normal size or one the size of a house? Make your images larger or smaller than life. What is more memorable, an elephant or an elephant wearing a pink bikini? Exaggerate with humor, tickle your mind. There is no scientific evidence to prove that learning should be serious. Make your images illogical. Have fun, create some positive exaggerated learning memories. E. Energize, give your pictures action. Would you rather watch a movie of your holiday or a slideshow? What creates more feeling in your imagination, a horse standing still or a horse that is running and moving? Make your information vivid, colorful, and not boring, flat and black and white. Use action, it brings life to your memories. Make your images act in illogical ways. You can weave, crash, stick, or wrap things together. We can make things talk, sing, and dance. Think about the great genius Walt Disney. The process of imagination is a fun, creative process. The more enjoyment you can put into it, the better. When you are reading, or hearing something, focus on all the C principles and imagine it is a movie. Even if you don't use a specific method that you will learn in this book, the C principles will improve your concentration. Emile Coué pointed out that, when the imagination and the will are in conflict, the imagination always wins. If you will yourself to remember, and your imagination is not on the task, you will have zero retention and recall. Your imagination is the place of all your memory power. Some people say, "This is not the way that I naturally think." This is not the way that I naturally think either, this is how I have taught myself to think, because it works. The more skilled you become in using your imagination, the more you can know, comprehend, and create. In this way, you become the director of your own mind. How do I turn abstract information into images? We remember nouns and adjectives with ease because they have meaning and we can make a mental picture without much effort. Most abstract words can be made to mean something. Just use a meaningful thought or word to represent a meaningless word. Find a word or phrase that sounds the same or similar to the abstract word, or you can break a word up into its individual sounds. Imagine you had to remember the name Washington, you could turn that word into a picture of you washing a tin. Or, if you had to remember the word hydrogen, you could see a picture of a fire hydrant drinking gin. You can turn all complex information into something meaningful and memorable by turning it into images. In the beginning it will take a bit of effort on your part. You will have to invest your attention at first and then it will become a habit. To practice, look at words, break them up, make a picture and give it all more meaning. Let us learn a few foreign words for practice. Really imagine each word and create a see-mini mind movie. First, we will use Spanish words. Tiger is tigre, it sounds like tigre. Imagine a tiger drinking his tea that has turned gray. Sun is soul. Imagine that the sun is burning the sole of your one foot. Arm is brazo. Imagine a bra is sewn onto your arm. Some Italian words. Chicken is polo. You can imagine playing polo with a chicken instead of a ball. Cat is gatto. Imagine saying to your friend, "You've got to hold my cat." Some French words. Book is livre. Sounds like liver, so you can imagine opening a book and finding squashed liver inside. Hand is main. My main hand is my right hand. Chair is she. Imagine you have shares in a chair. Some Zulu words. Dog is injia, injak. Think of an injured dog. Floor is fancy, pansy. Imagine a pansy growing out of the floor. Snake is inyoka, inayokaya. Imagine a snake slithering in your car. Some Japanese words. Chest is mune, muna. Imagine money growing out of your chest. Door is to. Imagine you are kicking the door with your big toe. Carpet is jutin, jutin. Imagine you are tanning on a big carpet. Or, you tan a carpet. Test yourself. What is the Spanish word for tiger? What is the Italian word for cat? What is the Zulu word for dog? What is the Japanese word for chest? What is the French word for book? What is the Italian word for chicken? What is the Zulu word for snake? What is the French word for hand? What is the Japanese word for carpet? Just by connecting these words in a silly mind movie, you have learned 14 foreign words. You can use this method to remember hundreds of foreign words if you use the C principle. Remember, you are only connecting two concepts at a time. If you imagine it for a few seconds, it will stick in your memory and it will be easy to recall if you need it. You can even use this method to remember all the countries and capitals. You just need to bring the information to life. The capital of Australia is Canberra. You can imagine a kangaroo, represents Australia, eating a kin of berries, Canberra, and the two will stick together, making it more memorable. The capital of Greece is Athens. Imagine 8 hens, sounds like Athens, swimming in Greece. The capital of Madagascar is Antananarivo. Imagine a Madagascar crashing into your friend Anne, who is tanning on a river. The capital of Belgium is Brussels. Imagine Brussels sprouts falling out of a bell doing gym, Belgium. Make a silly picture and really see it, and you can remember all the capitals with ease. The greatest secret of a powerful memory is to bring information to life with your endless imagination. Take responsibility for your memory. You can only learn to control your memory when you become the source of your imagination. Memory is not a thing that happens to you, you create your memories. You can make any information into something more meaningful. When we start using the memory systems, you will see how easy it is to convert abstract information into meaningful concepts. Using all these memory methods improves your creativity, enhances your memory and your humor too. Chapter 6. Use your car to remember. Making the simple complicated is commonplace, making the complicated simple, awesomely simple, that's creativity. Charles Mingus. We have just learned to bring information to life by turning information into pictures or mind movies. Now we need to learn to create files, for pictures, from our long-term memory. This will assist us in remembering new information. These systems require you to think differently. I always think it is amazing how people want to improve their memory and concentration, but they do more of the same thing and expect a different result. You have to do different, to become different. The method that I will share with you now is called the car method. Our car is a great long-term storage compartment because we know it well and can easily navigate it in our mind. With this method, as with all of them, I want you to see the images in your mind. Remember, every word in any language is only a picture drawn with letters. Get rid of your excuses like, I'm not creative or I don't think like this. This isn't how I think either, this is how I have trained myself to think, because it works. These methods may seem silly, but just go with it. I promise that you will see the point and you will remember the information. These systems take long for me to explain, but they work at the speed of thought. The only reason it won't work for you, is if you don't do it. We are going to use nouns for this exercise because they are easy to imagine and therefore easier to control and store. Then in the second exercise, and the rest of the book, we will use more abstract information. Follow the images in your mind and let's see how much you remember. See your car in your mind and imagine you squeeze a big apple into the front grid of your car. Take a carrot and stab it into the bonnet. On the windscreen see grainy bread, and think to yourself, the grainy bread is going to damage my windscreen wipers. Get inside your car and squash dried fruit on the dashboard, really see it go into your speedometer. On the driver's seat imagine you are sitting on blueberries and strawberries, really feel it. Throw eggs at the person sitting in the passenger seat next to you, they now have egg on their face. Imagine you are pouring thousands of nuts and seeds onto your back seat. Go outside your car and imagine a massive orange on your roof. You open the boot and it is full of fish, really smell the fish. In the exhaust pipe there is broccoli and Brussels sprouts growing out of the exhaust, and finally the tires of your car are made out of sweet potatoes. Sweet. Go through your car, from the beginning to the end, and see if you can remember all the information. If a word didn't stick, go back, make the connection stronger and see it more clearly in your mind. What you have just learned are 14 superfoods, foods that have been shown to improve your vitality and keep your mind agile and alert. Not only do you know the list forwards, but you also know it backwards and inside and out. What is on the roof? What are the car tires made of? What was on the driver's seat? What was on the bonnet of the car? Your mind automatically makes the connection and answers the question for recall. Now that you really know it, it is easier to use and think about. Some people say, but now I have to remember the car too, you are giving me more to remember. That is not true. With all of the systems you will be using something that is already in your memory. In fact, you are using all of the unused space in your long-term memory. You remembered the entire list and with ease. Now, why does this system work so well? If you throw water into a sieve, it goes in and straight through. If you put a packet into the sieve, the water will get trapped. Your memory works in the same way. Your long-term memory, things that are in your memory forever, like your name and what your house looks like, etc., is like the packet that can be used to trap short-term information, new information coming in, like a new telephone number. When you have managed to do that, you make a strong medium-term memory, MTM. With the car list, your whole car is in your long-term memory, LTM. LTM offers you a place to store the information. The locations in the car become storage compartments for the short-term memories, STM. All the memory methods work with my formula, LTM plus STM equals MTM. These methods also organize information, therefore making it easier to find. What is easier to remember, supermemory or YMRM pures? Same letters, but very different meaning, and the second is harder to memorize. The more order you put into a subject, the easier it will be to remember. The secret to accelerated learning is superior organization. We can use other cars to remember other new information too. Here is a picture of a car with 7 images on it. It shouldn't conflict with the food car, because it opens up a new memory file. Look at the picture below and make sure that you can clearly recreate the whole image in your mind. Break the images down, look at each place and make sure that each one sticks to its place. Have you done that? Good. What you have just learned are Stephen Covey's 7 habits of highly effective people. By remembering all 7 images, you are creating points of reference within your mind for each of the habits. When you have it in your memory, it will be easier to gauge if you are living the 7 habits. When you mentally look at the car, you will instantly be able to recall all the information. Remember, the more you know, the easier it is to get to know more. Let me explain each of the pictures. The 7 habits are as follows. Habit 1, be proactive. I thought of a bee that is a pro golfer. That picture should be enough to trigger habit 1. Habit 2, begin with the end in mind. The brain is running a race, and looking at the end in mind. Habit 3, put first things first. The man is in first position, putting first things first. Habit 4, think win/win. The 2 trophies show that everyone wins with win/win. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood. The man under the umbrella will stand up. Habit 6, synergize, sign balancing on the edge with eyes. Habit 7, sharpen the saw, on the tire of the car. With your memory, always use as few pictures as possible, to remember as much as possible. The more simple and clear it is, the less you will feel overwhelmed. You can also make the connection that the first 3 habits are the private victory. The front of your car is private, you are the only one that opens the bonnet of your car. Habits 4, 5, and 6 are the public victory. In the car, you allow others to get into your car, it is public. Habit 7 is outside the car. The 7th habit keeps everything else in check. Remember these habits, read the book to get more understanding and retention, and live them. As Stephen Covey said, habits can be learned and unlearned. But I also know it isn't a quick fix. It involves a process and a tremendous commitment. In this chapter you have been able to remember 21 bits of useful information. These methods help you to organize information more clearly, and therefore you will be using more of your memory power and potential. All the methods in this book help you to store information that can be used. You can make many more storage compartments in and on your car. If you think about it, you can use every detail of your car to find at least 100 places to store new information in your memory. You can also use any other forms of transport, buses, trains, airplanes, ships, or even spaceships as storage files or compartments. Chapter 7. Use your body to remember. The music of your life is far better played with all the fingers of your multiple intelligences performing their magic on the keyboard of your existence. Tony Buzan. The quote you have just read was taken from Tony's book called Head First. In his book he talks about how we have at least 10 intelligences. We don't just have one way of being clever, but at least 10, and probably more. I like to remember these intelligences to remind myself how incredible we all are and to focus on improving them daily. But before I get ahead of myself, let me demonstrate how to remember these intelligences with another system. It is called the body method. It is similar to the car method, but this time we are using parts of our body to store the new information. Your body is another great long-term storage compartment. You are in it every day and you know it well. There are plenty of storage compartments that you can use, but for demonstration purposes I'm only going to use 10 places. With this method we are going to place 10 key bits of information on our body. The information is a bit more abstract, it will require you to think more creatively, so let's give it a go. The first place that we are going to store information on is our feet. The first intelligence is creative intelligence. So I want you to imagine that you are standing on a big bright light bulb. A light bulb always reminds me of creative ideas, and it is burning your feet. To strengthen the association you can also imagine you are painting a beautiful work of art on your feet. On the second place, your knees, we are going to store personal intelligence. Now imagine a big purse, sounds like personal, on your knees. Create a bit of action with this picture. Imagine opening the purse on your knees and your knees come flying out of it. Personal intelligence is about taking responsibility, so own the purse on your knees. The next storage compartment is your thighs. Here we will store social intelligence. Imagine people having a big party, social, on your thighs. Really see the party and feel it happening on your thighs now. The next place is your belt or hips, and we will store spiritual intelligence there. Imagine a beautiful angel on your belt, or that the angel is buckling your belt for you. Angels remind me of spirituality. Now review all the previous images from your feet to your hips. The words are creative, personal, social, and spiritual. Next is your physical intelligence and we will store it on your stomach. Imagine you get physical, start doing sit-ups and your stomach all of a sudden becomes muscular, it becomes the perfect six-pack. Imagine in your left hand your sensual intelligence. Here you can imagine a snotty nose, ears, and eyes to remind you of all of your senses. Then in your right hand place sexual intelligence, here you can make up your own picture. Now let's review quickly. We have creative, personal, social, spiritual, physical, sensual, and sexual. The next place is your mouth. Imagine big bright colorful numbers flying out of your mouth, numerical intelligence. Or, you can only speak in numbers. On your nose, see a spaceship landing on your nose and forehead, spatial intelligence. Or, see a spaceship flying up your nose. Finally, on the top of your head imagine writing words on your hair, or your hair starts talking, verbal intelligence. Let's review the body list. The creative and emotional intelligences. Legs create motion, that is to remind you that the creative and emotional intelligences are stored on your feet and legs. 1. Creative intelligence. 2. Personal intelligence, self-knowledge, self-fulfillment, and understanding self. 3. Social intelligence. 4. Spiritual intelligence. The bodily intelligences, all stored on the biggest part of your body, on your torso. 5. Physical intelligence. 6. Sensual intelligence. 7. Sexual intelligence. The traditional IQ intelligences, the head intelligences. 8. Numerical intelligence. 9. Spatial intelligence. 10. Verbal intelligence. Tony Buzan says we are now entering the intelligence age, so it is vitally important that you know more about your amazing intelligences. The body method also helps you structure the information so that you can easily jump in and out of the material. When you read head first, the body list will act as a powerful memory matrix that will attract more information and improve your understanding and recognition of the content. If you hear any other list of intelligences, like Howard Gardner's, you can easily slot the information into its relevant compartment. When you hear people discussing IQ, you will also immediately know, remember, that IQ only tests 3 intelligences, the head intelligences. Most of us have been taught to think that we are either intelligent or we are not. But the definitions of intelligence we learned at school were built around the specific types of intelligence that are most valued at school: verbal intelligence and numerical intelligence. Paul McKenna. The body method was originally invented by the ancient Greeks. You can use this method to remember information for exams, work, shopping lists, or any list of information. You can even use it to remember things when you don't have a pen at hand, like when you are in the shower. I just used 10 places as an example, but you can use your back, your ears, eyes, nose, you can use it all. Just make sure you connect the two in a humorous way, remember the C principles, and that you remember the order. I have been able to use this method to remember 50 bits of information. I like to use this system to remember information so that I can consistently look at the information and have it at my fingertips. Chapter 8. Pegging information down. The existence of forgetting has never been proved, we only know that some things don't come to mind when we want them. Friedrich Nietzsche. Have you ever had this experience? You smell something and instantly your memory takes you back to another time. The smell is a link to the experience. Or, you hear a song and a whole stream of memories are released from your mind. We can consciously take control of this reminder principle to create another system for our memory skills toolbox. This is the first system that I ever learned, and it introduced me to my memory potential. It worked so well that it seemed like a trick, and ever since that day I have been hooked on the power of my memory. I hope it has a similar effect for you. It is called the PEG method of memory. We are going to explore the power of your associative mind. We are going to learn 2 new PEG methods of memory. The first is called the rhyming PEG method and the other the shape PEG method. These secrets were brought to our conscious awareness by John Sambrook and Henry Hurdson in the late 1700s. These methods are very simple and effective. It will provide you with a method that can help you remember 40 or more bits of information in a short space of time. You can even remember the information in random order and by number. Let me explain the first method, the rhyming pegs. The pegs act in much the same way as clothes pegs. They keep information hanging around in your mind. The pegs themselves must become part of your long-term memory for them to work. Remember, you always need your long-term memory to assist your short-term memory. With this method you associate new information to long-term memory pegs in your mind. The pegs also act as compartments or files for your new thoughts. The method is simple, it makes memory pegs out of rhyming words, and we will use the following rhyming words as mental files. 1 rhymes with the word bun, 2 shoe, 3 tree, 4 door, 5 hive, 6 stick, 7 heaven, 8 gate, 9 vine, 10 hen. Now, each one of these pegs can become compartments to store new information. You link the peg, using the C principle, to the words that you want to remember. In Anthony Robbins' life-changing book, Awaken the Giant Within, he has a list of the 10 emotions of power. I want you to use this new system so that you can hold these emotions in your mind. Think about them daily, because personal development only happens when you can remember what you need to act on. The 10 emotions of power are: 1 love and warmth, 2 appreciation and gratitude, 3 curiosity, 4 excitement and passion, 5 determination, 6 flexibility, 7 confidence, 8 cheerfulness, 9 vitality, 10 contribution. Remember to make the images illogical. See the information in your mind for a few seconds. Take your time and make the associations strong. You can also draw an image to help you experience the information more. 1 bun, imagine a heart, symbol for love, shaped warm bun, or imagine that thousands of warm hearts are flying out of a bun. Really visualize it and you will remember that one is love and warmth. 2 shoe, imagine that a preacher is grating a shoe with a cheese grater. I used a preacher to remind you of appreciation and a grater for gratitude. 3 tree, imagine a cat in the tree, don't make it logical. Maybe, imagine that the branches look like cats, cats are hanging off the branches or cats are growing out of the tree. Curiosity killed the cat. So, 3 is curiosity. 4 door, imagine an excited person bashing down your door. Or, the door is so excited it jumps up and down and opens and closes. You squeeze passion fruit on the excited door. 4 is excitement and passion. 5 hive, imagine determined bees or determined terminators trying to break open a beehive. Bees are a determined nation. Determination is 5. 6 sticks, imagine hitting a flexible person, that is doing the splits, with a stick. Or, really feel how flexible the stick can be. 6 is flexibility. 7 heaven, imagine heaven is full of confident people. See them walking tall with confidence that they are in paradise. 7 is confidence. 8 gate, see a smiley-faced shaped gate. You cheerfully open the cheerful gate. 8 is cheerfulness. 9 vine, see vitamins growing on a vine. As you eat these vitamin grapes you feel your sense of vitality improve. 10 hen, imagine a hen giving you presents. She is a contributing hen. 10 is contribution. Now really see each linked picture in your mind and make it clear. You should now know these emotions forwards, backwards, and in random order. Test yourself to see if you have them all. Practice feeling these emotions because you become good at what you practice. Anthony Robbins says, "You are the source of all your emotions, you are the one who creates them." Plant these emotions daily, and watch your whole life grow with vitality that you've never dreamed of before. The rhyme method can be extended by finding more words that rhyme with the number, e.g., 1, bun, sun, tum, gum, and gun. With this method you can easily create a peg system that you can use to store up to 30 bits of new information. Pegging also has no limits, you can create other lists too. Here is the second short peg list that you can use, the shape system. It converts numbers into concrete shapes. It works in the same way as the rhyme list, only this time the pegs are shaped like the number. We are not going to do an exercise with this system, because you have already learned the principle in the rhyme list. Use this list on your own, to remember 10 bits of new information, play with it and have a bit of fun. The shape method just gives you another option to use. Here is the list. These peg lists create so many new possibilities, you can create all kinds of peg lists. You can use any list that is already in your long-term memory. You can make up words for each letter of the alphabet, e.g. apple, bucket, cat, dolphin, etc. Use any list that you already know well, your favorite football players, superheroes, pop stars, or any list that you can remember in order. Enjoy using this method, and find new ways to improve it. Chapter 9. In the first place, whatever you think about, that's what you remember. Memory is the residue of thought. Daniel T. Willingham. The system that you are about to discover is the most incredible tool you will ever learn. It will help you grow in ways that you could never imagine. It is so simple, it has been around for 2,500 years, and yet few have harnessed its potential. You can use this system to remember any information and mountains of it. It takes practice, but once you use it you will never look back. This method is the original and still the most effective of all the systems. Using this system is as easy as remembering a journey. Some people think this method is too simple to work, but it works because it doesn't overwhelm you. It is the same process as the car and body list, but only this time we are using places or markers on a location, journey, or route to store information. Here is how it works. 1. Prepare in your mind an organized location, e.g. a house layout, a journey, or a shopping center. 2. Create markers or places on this location, same as what we did with the body and car list, in an easy-to-follow order. 3. Make a clear image, using the C principles, of the information that you would like to remember. 4. Place each item you are trying to remember on each of the marked locations. In short, it is as simple as finding a place like a route, journey, or building in your mind to store the information. Then you store it. This system makes remembering large amounts of information as easy as remembering a trip to the nearest shop. You are using the formula again, long-term memory plus short-term memory equals medium-term memory. Let me introduce you to the journey method with a short exercise. We are going to store 12 useful principles from one of John C. Maxwell's books. I really enjoy his books because they are always very well organized and therefore making storing information easier. He normally creates a summary list of the topics that he will cover and then he writes in more detail about each topic. You can use the systems to remember all of his lists and laws and become an expert in leadership. Once the information is in a memorable matrix, it will start to attract more information to it. It helps long-term storage and use. When you have it in your head, it is so much easier to use, because what is the use of information if you can't recall what you know? In his book Today Matters, he shares 12 keys that you can focus on daily to get more success and fulfillment in your life. As he says, you will never change your life until you change something you do daily. He calls them the daily dozen. Here are the keys: 1. Attitude. 2. Priorities. 3. Health. 4. Family. 5. Thinking. 6. Commitment. 7. Finances. 8. Faith. 9. Relationships. 10. Generosity. 11. Values. 12. Growth. Most people will repeat the list of information over and over again and try to force it into their memory. Rote learning and constant repetition creates an aversion to learning, and it is frustrating. The more you can encode information into your memory, the more effective the learning. Let's use a method to find the fun in frustration. Now all that we have to do is to focus attention and connect each thought to a place. Try this little exercise with me. I am going to be using 4 rooms in my house as a journey to give you an example of how you can use this system. The rooms are compartments in my mind that I can use to store new information. Let me guide you through the house and let's store the information together. Make sure that your markers are all in an easy to follow order. Then review your markers to make sure you have clear storage compartments. The places must also be near each other, but nicely spaced out. Here is a mental map of 4 rooms in my house and 12 places that we will use, and they are: Room 1 kitchen, 1 washing machine, 2 fridge, 3 stove. Room 2 TV room, 4 chairs, 5 TV, 6 exercise bike. Room 3 bedroom, 7 mirror, 8 cupboards, 9 bed. Room 4 bathroom, 10 bath, 11 shower, 12 toilet. If I gave you a box with 12 objects in it, would you be able to place it on the furniture in my house? Of course you would. Now all we do is turn the information into something tangible, like an object, and then place them in the room. We start in the kitchen. The first word is attitude. Imagine someone with a really bad attitude jumping into your washing machine. Clean up his attitude in the machine. See it? At the next place, imagine writing all of your priorities on the fridge door. Use a permanent marker and think about how your priorities are permanently stored on the fridge door. Imagine a healthy bodybuilder making an apple pie and shoving it into the stove. The apples are also a reminder for health. So what was in the washing machine? On the fridge? At the stove? Now we move to the TV room. The first place there is the chairs. Imagine your whole family is jumping up and down on the chairs. The more illogical the image, the more it will stick. The second place is the TV. Imagine a thought bubble coming out of the TV, because it is a thinking machine. It also influences our thinking. The final place in the room is the exercise bike, so imagine combing, reminds you of commitment, the exercise bike. It is also a commitment to use the bike. In my bedroom, the first place is the mirror, and here imagine money flying out of the mirror. Your finances are a mirror of your productivity. Whatever represents faith for you, place it inside the cupboard. Put faith on every shelf or hanger. The next word we want to place on our memory journey is relationships, and that is on the bed. Okay, you can make your own picture here. The final room is the bathroom. See a genie jumping out of the bath and he gives you what you wish. The genie giving reminds us of generosity. Imagine the shower is made out of gold. Or, you open the taps and gold runs out of it. Gold has great value, and represents values. At the last place we imagine a tree growing out of the toilet for growth. What was the word connected to each place? Excellent, that is now your first memory route or journey, and it will begin to open your mind to the possibility of having a perfect memory. You have just learned the 12 keys in John Maxwell's book Today Matters, and it was as easy as walking around my house. You will remember all the words if you have connected them properly. Go through it a few times and you will know the daily dozen. You will get better results with this method if you used your own environment because you are more aware of the order of the places. Review the list backwards and you will notice that it will all still be there. By reviewing it backwards, you make the images clearer for your memory. If you made clear images and placed them on the route, the list will be very memorable. This method helps you to see the big picture and zoom into the details. The concepts are brought to life and become concrete. It is always easier to remember something that is experienced in your mind. We remember what we think about. Now think about this information that you have learned by Today Matters and focus on making small changes in these areas daily, and remember it to live it. This journey or route method shows you what is possible. Every great memory person uses this method more than any other. It is so effective because you can make thousands of storage places. Think about how many markers you can make. We all have a brilliant memory for journeys. You have visited many places in your life. You can use buildings, museums, schools, shopping centers, and almost any location that you know. Make sure they are places you know well, that have significance to you, and they have lots of variety. You can make your routes as long as you want. You can have a place or route for every subject you are learning. Remember to have fun. This system will change the way that you learn forever. The only effort is trying to improve your ability to make images and placing it on a familiar mental journey. It will feel like you are cheating. It is like having crib notes or a teleprompter inside your head. The journey is like the paper and the images are like the ink. Your imagination can create any information on a familiar journey. It will change your life. You can use it to remember all kinds of information. I have helped medical students, law students, pilots, managers, and business people remember all kinds of information with this method. I used this method to store the first 10,000 digits of pi. A friend of mine, Dr. Yip Sui Chui, remembered the whole Oxford Dictionary, 1,774 pages, word for word with this method. Anyone can store an unlimited amount if they choose to spend the time. Some people say, I will run out of space. If I gave you a truck full of objects to place in a shopping mall, would you be able to do that? Of course you would. If you look for it, you will find thousands and thousands of places just waiting to be used in your mind. There are no limits to this system, only limits in your own thinking. The important thing is that you practice. The more you practice, the better you will get. Chapter 10. Linking thoughts. No memory is ever alone, it's at the end of a trail of memories, a dozen trails that each have their own associations. Louis L'Amour. In the previous chapters we learned to bring information to life, and to store it in a long-term memory compartment system. Now in this chapter we are going to learn to link more thoughts together. It is a way to direct attention and to strengthen your imagination and your ability to associate concepts. Your mind is an associating machine and it has no limits. I often hear people say, "Oh, do you learn by association?" The answer to that is we only learn by association. Learning is connecting new information to old information. It doesn't happen any other way. It is creating a relationship between the known and the unknown, and the more you know, the easier it is to connect more information and get to know more. Now let's memorize a list together to experience this method. It will seem silly, but stick with it and I will make a point. This story takes longer for me to explain than what happens in your mind. Read it and remember to use the C principle. I want you to imagine that you are washing a tin, really see it in your mind. As you wash the tin, it suddenly begins developing a huge Adam's apple. A chef and her son grab the Adam's apple and rip it out. The chef and her son then decide to make some medicine. which they give to Marilyn Monroe, and she starts to develop a massive Adam's apple too. Michael Jackson sees her Adam's apple throbbing and runs away screaming and jumps into a van with beer in it. The van is being driven by a big yellow hairy sun. Really see it, make it silly, hairy, and let it stick. The hairy son doesn't drive very well and crashes into a tiler tilling his wall. The tiler's tiles are polka dot tiles. A tailor takes the polka dots off and starts tailoring you a polka dot suite. Now recall the story and all the key words. If you didn't get it all, read it again and make the links stronger. See if you can do it backwards too. What you have just learned are the first 12 presidents of the USA. You can continue remembering all 44 presidents just by linking one thought to the next. If you have any problems recalling the list, just make it more outstanding and make the links clearer. Here is the list of the first 12 presidents. 1. Washington, Washington 2. Adam's apple, Adams 3. A chef and her son, sounds like Jefferson 4. Medicine, sounds like Madison 5. Marilyn Monroe, Monroe 6. Adam's apple, Adams 7. Michael Jackson, Jackson 8. A van with beer in, Van Buren 9. A hairy son, Harrison 10. A tiler, a person who lays tiles, Tyler 11. Polka dots, Poke 12. Tailor, Tailor. Once you have the list in your mind, go through it forwards and backwards a few times to make sure it is all there. You can also link more information to the list, so it becomes like a new peg list. You could link each vice president to your presidents, just like we did with the foreign words and capitals. You can also connect your links or stories to some of the other systems that you have learned. You can link more than one concept at a specific place or compartment on the car, body, pegs or journey method. This way you can remember thousands of words or concepts by connecting links to a short mental journey. It is so powerful because we use more of our creativity and imagination to make the information outstanding, therefore stimulating our interest and curiosity, keeping our attention at a peak. Each word reminds you of the next. You are making your own links and you are only memorizing 2 things at a time. You can also use this method to memorize paragraphs of information. All that you have to do is condense everything down to a list of keywords and then convert those lists into meaningful link stories. A whole syllabus or a book can be condensed into a ridiculous story. When you do this, it is easy to remember, giving you a great mental workout, and it is fun. Chapter 11. Remembering names. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Dale Carnegie. There is no such thing as a good or bad memory for names, there is only a good or a bad strategy. In this chapter you are going to learn strategies that can make a huge difference to your name memory. Make a commitment today to improve. It is a commitment that will provide you with numerous benefits and save you from many embarrassing situations. In Chapter 3, I showed you the self-fulfilling circle. Get rid of your limiting beliefs about your name memory and start to focus on finding a strategy that can help you. Become motivated and interested in names and how we brand people according to that name. Imagine you meet a person and they say that they will give you $1 million if you could remember their name a week from today. Would you then remember it? Of course you would. We are all brilliant at names if we are motivated enough to hold on to them. The methods that I will be sharing with you have been used for centuries. They require you to think differently and to use your incredible associating mind. Some people say that they have tried association to remember names and it doesn't work for them. It doesn't work if you don't practice. Nothing in life works unless you work with it. All the memory champions are using association methods and can easily remember about 100 names in less than half an hour. I believe that if you copy the strategies of the champions you can get the same results, and if you don't you won't. The untrained memory is not very reliable. The average person leaves their memory to chance, hoping that the name will somehow stick. The strategies that I will share with you work, use them. Now if you want to remember names like a memory master you have to focus on the 4Cs. 1. Concentrate when you meet someone with the same name as you. Do you remember their name? Yes, because you are interested in that name, you always hear it, and your attention is at a peak. The name has meaning to you and you also connect it to yourself. If you follow this basic strategy with every person that you meet, you will remember their names. When we get introduced to people, they normally say their name so quickly that nobody can get it. Take control of the introduction. To be able to really get the name, you have to slow down the introduction. Put your elephant ears on and really hear the name. Make remembering names something that is important to you. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "A person must get a thing before they can forget it." You need to really hear the name first. If you don't hear something, you will not remember it. You have to first get it to turn it into a memory. If you hear the name, and repeat it back to the person, you will improve your recall. If you don't hear the name, ask the person to say it to you again, and if it is a difficult name, ask the person to spell the name too. Listen and get genuinely interested in the other person's name. We are normally so worried about being interesting, that we forget to be interested. When you become interested, you will want to listen to the name. Learn to listen to people from their perspective and not your own. Not only will it improve your name memory, but your social intelligence too. To create, you have to create an image for the name in your mind, to be able to recreate it later. Have you ever heard people say, "I know the face, but I can't remember the name"? You never hear people say, "The face is on the tip of my tongue." We remember faces because they form an image in our mind. The names don't normally stick because we try to remember it with our auditory memory or our little voice. It doesn't make sense to try to stick a sound to a vision, of course it won't stick. Plus, auditory memories are never as solid as visual memories. To hold on to a memory, we must make an image out of the name. Remember how we created images out of names when we learned the presidents? When you give a name meaning, you can then hold on to it. When you put a name into your mind and you don't do anything with it, it will disappear and you won't be able to find it again. This is because working memory doesn't store information. So to store it, you need assistance from your short and long-term memory. You have to really think about the name to remember it, because we only remember what we think about. When you are introduced to someone, you only have 20 seconds to think about the name and make an association. If you don't do anything with the name in 20 seconds, the name will be gone. The more connections and meaning you can give the name, the more it will stick. Some of the names will naturally create a picture, like the surnames Baker, Cruz, or Gardner. My surname is Horsley, so you can think of a horse and Bruce Lee. My first name is Kevin and it sounds like cave in, making it easy to create an image and meaning out of my name. Other names may be more difficult, but by using a bit of creativity, any name can be given meaning and turned into a picture. 3. Connect. Remember that all learning is creating a relationship between the known and the unknown. You will already know the face, so you need to connect the unknown name to the known face. When you see the face, it must act as a trigger or peg to bring the name to your awareness. Here are some methods to make the connection. All the methods you learn here take a great deal longer to explain than to use. Comparison connection. With this method, you connect the person to a name that you already know. Let's say we meet a person by the name of George. To make the name stick, we think of someone that we already know with the same name. Do you know another George? You may even think of someone famous with the same name, like George Clooney. Now all we do in our mind is compare the two people. What color hair does the George that we are meeting have? What color is the other George's hair? By comparing this one feature, you will be paying more attention than you would have before, therefore making a stronger connection. Compare as many different features as you can and you will focus your attention and create a long-term impression for perfect recall. It is as simple as that. Just compare the two faces in your mind and you will remember them. Impact your memory even more by imagining the person with two heads, their own, and that of the person you already know with the same name. I like this method because it helps you to both remember the new person, as well as reinforce the other name too. This method only takes a few seconds to help you remember the person's name forever. We are using the memory principle of taking a long-term name and using it to remember the short-term new name. Some people ask, what happens if you don't have a similar name to compare to? We can then use one of the other methods that I will be showing you now. Find a system that works best for you. Face connection. With this method you make a link between the name and an outstanding feature on the person's face. Every person's face is unique and every face has an outstanding feature. Let me give you an example. Imagine you are introduced to a woman and the first thing you notice about her face is that she has striking blue eyes. That will then be her outstanding feature. When she gives you her name you will then have a place to put the name. Imagine she says her name is Janice. You then make an image of the name. Janice sounds like chain ice. You then make the connection and think of a chain of ice flying out of her blue eyes. Here is another example. Imagine you meet a man and you notice that he has a big nose and his name is Peter. Turn the name into a picture. You can then imagine a pea eater. Then quickly make the connection that his nose is a big pea eater. By making a silly memorable association you will connect the face and the name together. With this method never tell anybody what you have done in your mind. It is personal and some people may become offended. I remember once meeting a woman by the name of Hazel. She asked me how I remembered her name, so I told her, big mistake. I said I thought of a hazelnut. She was not impressed. Remember, most people identify with their names, they like it and consider it as their own unique brand. If you make fun